This is a VHS tape. This is a VHS tape of Scooby-Doo's Spookiest Tales. This tape was supposed to show the scariest episodes of the cartoon show Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? I point this out because this is the kind of history I'm going into this show with. I'm wearing a microphone because it's 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm trying not to wake up the rest of my house. When I first heard that there was a cartoon show about Velma that was going to be rated R, I couldn't help but be curious because, I was back around the time when it was, the hell even is this rated? I'm sure the original cartoon show was like PG because of the horror theme. So we'll see what happens. I haven't really read much about what it's going to be like. Um, I know it's raunchy. I remember reading that at one point or another. But either way, I'm curious to see how this goes. And apparently it's going to have like either 10 or 12 episodes and they're going to be released in pairs of two. So I will review the first episode and the second episode in this one recording and see how it goes. I take it back, it's not rated R, it's actually rated TVMA, which is a big difference. Now I'm definitely curious. Let me just be clear here. When I'm talking about this show, I'm not going to be talking about how it relates to the old show in the past. I don't really care about that because, the show has like 50 iterations. I wasn't around for most of them. I was around for Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And What's New Scooby-Doo? Those are the ones I know. So when I say this, just know it's not comparing to the original show or any of my nostalgia. This is kind of stupid. Which I guess is the point. It's already a stupid show. I'm already annoyed of it. I'm literally only talking about the first part before the title scroll happened. It's stupid. Okay, so what I can basically understand from every single character so far, they're basically writing them all to be just complete assholes. And the comedy kind of builds around that. I'm laughing at a few lines every now and then, but I think the majority of the comedy is just kind of cringe humor of sorts. It's weird because, this show is obviously created to like cater to the people who grew up with the show and are now adults and don't watch it anymore. At the same time, though, I also feel like it's not for me because I don't know, I just don't like this kind of brand of humor too much. It's a little too cringe for my liking so far. At the same time, I'm also laughing at a few lines here and there, so it's not like I'm totally dismissing the show. Okay, just reached the end of the episode. Couple of things to make note of. I could see why it's released in two parts and like splitting. It seems like it's making one mystery and splitting it up into two episodes. At least that's the thing that's going on with these first two. I don't know if it'll continue. For all I know, maybe it'll turn into Star Wars Andor, where it's like they drag out one long storyline over the span of 4 episodes. It's just gonna drive me nuts. As opposed to the old school Scooby-Doo, it seems like there's an actual like mystery, and it's not just solved within the first couple seconds. It's just because of like one random Deus Ex Machina or one random find. I suppose the first episode was really just setting it all up, and now the second episode is hopefully just gonna solve it all, and you're gonna get that whole clues defined and stuff like that. I look forward to it. I suppose I'll get used to the humor as time goes on. With this episode, it's like I stated before, it's kind of dumb. But at the same time, yeah, like I laughed at some of it. Like the whole thing with Norville and Velma. Is Norville supposed to be Shaggy? He's wearing the same clothes as Shaggy. Either way. The whole thing with Norville and Velma, that whole thing where he's trying to make her stop hallucinate, and then he ends up like doing something and she takes it as a joke. That was funny to me. But everything else is just kind of, ugh, it's just kind of dumb. It's honestly kind of like a mix of like what Big Mouth humor is, along with what Teen Titans Go humor is, which is why I feel like it's not for me. It feels like it's for people who watched the old show, but instead of watching Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? They've watched Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. You know what I mean? That show is still kind of old, but it's like it's still kind of like a modern version of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? You know what I mean? As far as setup and character development, Fred's pretty interesting. I don't really care about Velma too much. Oh no, I don't really care about Daphne too much. I like Norville. Norville's pretty cool. Velma, so far she's okay. She rounded out well enough in this first episode where she first was just kind of like an annoying ass, which I guess she had all right to be. Don't get me wrong, everyone in this series is an annoying ass, especially to her. But once that episode's done, it's almost like she kind of like moves above it. You know what I mean? It's like I don't have to deal with her being an annoying ass the entirety of the episode, because at the end of the episode she comes out looking good. I'm not really sure if this show is supposed to be like a prequel. Like, it says it's a prequel, but I don't really know if it's like actually a prequel. With the whole murders that are happening between both Brenda and I already forgot the other person who was murdered. It's weird because like in like old school Scooby-Doo shows, you usually met the person who was probably going to be the guilty one in the end, except for a few cases where they just randomly introduced a new character. Here, as far as I know, most people that were introduced, I don't really have a clear idea of like who did it or who didn't do it. But if I had to guess so far, it would be either Daphne or one of her crazy ass friends. That would be my guess. Or it would be the cops. We'll see what happens. We'll see if I'm right. Onward to episode 2. I'm about halfway through this second episode, and I'm already kind of losing track of what's happening because there's like 7 different plot lines going on. There's Velma's father trying to prove Fred's innocence, Daphne and Velma and their relationship. There's Norville figuring out he's like a YouTube star or whatever the hell he's using. You know, he's streaming, so it's like a Twitch thing or something. There's still Velma's mother that's missing. There's still 2 bodies that isn't really being delved into that much because, I mean, everyone just assumes it was Fred who did it now. So, I mean, at this point, like, what's the focus? What's the point of the episode? Like, there's no crime solving happening about the murder itself. I'm so freaking lost. I mean, I'm still enjoying Norville. I think he's my favorite character at this point. That's another thing too, is that the Candyman is still a thing. There's like 50 different plot threads going on in this one episode, and I'm losing track. Like, what's the focus? Hopefully, it's not a continuing trend where there's like 50 million things I have to keep track of, because for me, I don't like having to keep track of it, because it's just, it kind of just, because I mean, yeah, it's there, but then when you don't talk about it for like 5 episodes in a row or whatever, suddenly I forget it exists, and then you just pop back up. Like, to me, that's not good. I will say this though, in terms of character development, Daphne is much better. Fred's still pretty good. Velma's still pretty good. Norville's my favorite, but Daphne is actually becoming third dimensional, which I like. I was afraid she was just going to be that one mean bully, but no, she actually has character development. So that's good. Okay, so technically a mystery was solved this episode. The mystery of how to get Fred innocent. It's not really a mystery, but same kind of problem solving is still there, which I appreciated. It did it in a funny way too. The fact that he can't cut his own food definitely would imply that he can't surgically remove a girl's brain or anything like that. It is kind of what I figured about how it's being like a long mystery over the arc of like multiple episodes. So hopefully it doesn't last like the entire season. Hopefully it like gets to a stopping point and then something new happens and something new, because that's how Andor did it, and I'd rather it do something like that than have the mystery last the entire season. You know what I mean? Also, I can't help but feel curious about how the rest of the show is going to go. I mean, the missing mother it's got me hooked. I want to see what happens with it. But at the same time, I'm also interested to see just how the characters form together, you know what I mean? I'm interested to see how Norville turns into Shaggy. I'm also interested to see how Fred even starts to forgive Velma and then they form a team. I'm wondering if Scooby's going to make an appearance, which I doubt it. I think he appeared after the gang was formed. Hell, I don't know anymore at this point. I think the highlight of episode 2 for me was the chase scene where Daphne's adopted mothers are chasing her and Velma, and they're like getting away on a suitcase. It was very actually, and I know I said I wasn't going to like draw to like the old episodes for like any kind of review or stuff like that, but that kind of was very old schoolish because it was a chase scene with music playing in the background. That's basically this cartoon in a nutshell. You know what I mean? So it was good. It was fun to experience just for nostalgia's sake. So I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think those small moments are what's keeping me to wanting to watch how everything continues to progress. I still don't think this is the show for me, but I'm going to keep watching it just to see what happens.